This bill requires the largest corporations to begin to pay toward their fair share in taxes. As this bill will not raise tax on anyone making less than $400,000 a year.
That's President Biden talking about his Inflation Reduction Act. And while Republicans and Democrats want to quibble a little bit over whether it will raise taxes on those making under $400,000 a year, they all agree, because this is indisputable, that it will create an IRS on steroids. $80 billion in new funding for the IRS, 6 times more than the agency's current budget of $12.6. That's over 9 years. $45.6 billion for enforcement, only $3.2 billion to help the taxpayer. Enforcement, litigation, criminal investigations, investigative technology, digital asset monitoring. Essentially, they plan to pay for a mini Green New Deal by catching tax cheats, which maybe sounds great in theory. Ryan Ellis is here, senior tax advisor at the Family Business Coalition. All right, so we all know that the IRS does a spectacularly great job. So what could possibly go wrong with giving them more money to find tax cheats?
You know, there's an old joke about, giving the kids who are going to prom night liquor and the keys to the car at the same time. That's sort of what's going on here. You're giving a lot of money to the IRS, which has approximately 21 million tax returns that they haven't processed yet from prior years, that can't even keep its own 800 number open. But we're about to give them, if the Democrats get their way in Congress, billions of dollars in order to do what? To audit small business owners and to snoop on bank accounts and do all the things that we don't want the IRS to do. We'd much rather have the IRS be a customer service agency than turn into this Gestapo police force going after small business owners across America.
I get the argument, and nobody likes the IRS, even when you're somebody who pays every cent that you owe. But still, we're to believe that there's a lot of people out there cheating on their taxes that if they paid not even their fair share, if they just paid their legal share, we'd be in a better place economically, right?
Well, we are to believe that, but the people who are telling us that have a conflict of interest. It's usually the IRS or people surrounded by the IRS. They like to pretend there's something called the tax gap out there, that there's all this money that should be taxed that isn't being taxed right now. In reality, that's just a distraction. The real problem with the IRS is not that they're collecting not enough money. In fact, this is one of the record years the IRS has ever had. One of the best years in the last 20 or 30 years in terms of federal revenue collections, and it's only going to go up from here with inflation. The real problem with the IRS is customer service. If you try to call the IRS on the phone, the IRS is not going to be there in order to help you. If you have filed a tax return at any point in the last couple of years, there's a decent chance it's still stuck there at the IRS. So there's no way that the IRS's main problem is collection of money. They're collecting plenty of money.
Well, Ryan, I know, and we love having you on, but I have to push back a little bit here. You think about billionaires who use all sorts of tax havens and tax shelters. You think about the middle class, even upper middle class businesses, restaurants that notoriously keep 2 sets of books. You think about all sorts of places where the cash economy exists. That really adds up. If there was more of a threat of enforcement, simply the threat of it, wouldn't people be more likely to pay more of their taxes that they owe rightfully, rather than if all of a sudden the IRS was all touchy-feely and told us how great we are and gave us, stickers for sending in our returns on time?
Well, look, there's 2 answers to that. The first is, if there was this huge problem of revenue collection, that we weren't collecting enough money, why is this one of the best years that we've ever had in terms of collecting federal tax revenues? It's absolutely off the hook. Federal, personal, and corporate income tax revenues are coming in at record levels. They haven't been this high since the go-go late 1990s. And so we're doing something right in terms of tax collection in America. As far as this myth that the richer you get, there's some mythical loopholes or shelters that other people don't know about, normal folks like us don't know about. If you take a look at the progressivity of the code, the more that you earn, the more that you pay as a percentage of your income. We have a steeply progressive tax code. It gets more steeply progressive every year.
Right, but hold on. But Warren Buffett's famous for saying he pays less in taxes as a percentage than his secretary does.
Well, he's wrong. Look, you can play around with numbers on that. The people that say, oh, this corporation's not paying enough or this rich guy's not paying enough, you can play around with numbers on that. Bottom line is that middle income people, working class people, pay a very, very low percentage of their income in federal taxes, all the income, payroll, everything, compared to somebody that's much wealthier.
Okay.
Wealthy people pay a lot in taxes. The numbers are there. The rhetoric doesn't,
well, the rhetoric's never there. Hey, Ryan, I appreciate it. We want to have you back on this as this bill works its way through, especially about some of the loopholes that Elizabeth Warren wants to close and what that might do as well. We appreciate you being here.
Anytime.
Yeah, good talking as always. And yeah, prom night. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.